Hi, everyone. Thank you for attending our Soulful Sunday. I'm Kim Adams. I'm with Changing Lives Life Coaching, representing Changing Lives Inc. And today we're here to talk about communication and conflict resolution.
This is my specialty topic. I love it. And there may be some people here that have heard it already, but welcome. I try to change it periodically over the course of my business just to make it sound fresh and exciting, but the same concepts are still there. I actually have written the 3 pillars of communication that we're going to be teaching on today. So we'll get started. We're just going to launch right into it, starting with pillar number 1. And that is the check-in pillar. We're going to go through all 3. We're going to start here. So a silly little way that I like to announce or show a good check-in is by going like this. Hold up your hand and put a couple emotions to each finger, some good, some not good, and an indifferent. So, for example, happy, peaceful, confused, angry, sad. When we first come into contact with the people we work with or come into our homes with the people we live with, this is a great check-in, just like a thermometer, to know what the temperature of the room is, if you will. So let's demonstrate what this looks like. And we're talking in general. This is just a check-in, and it is not to solve conflict. It's not to debate. It is literally you speaking for yourself, just stating how you are or where you are and why. So for example, Kim, on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most or the best, 1 being awful or not good, where are you with happy today?
I would say 4.
Why?
Well, let's see. It's a slow day.
I like it.
To just get up and get going. So I would say a 4.
Okay. I would say I'm at, not that you asked,
Oh, I am asking. I am asking. How about you, Shannon? Where are you at?
I would say I'm probably at a 3 today because I feel a little unprepared, a little under the weather, just a little, and um, wanting this to be really good for some new people that have shown up. And yeah, so I'm at a 3. I would like to be at a 5. Let's go with peace. Where are you with peace?
I'm at a 5 today. How about you? Where are you?
I'm not at a 5. I'm probably back at a 3. Back at a 3, just going, man, I'm sick of being a little under the weather and not myself.
Yeah, yeah, understandable.
Confused. That's the one I picked. Where are you with any? Do you have any confusion?
Lots.
hmm
Yeah, just in life in general,
hmm
right? There's things are very confusing depending on the topic.
Absolutely. Let's hit the bad ones and demonstrate that. So, like angry. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 5? 5 being the most angry, 1 being not angry at all.
At what?
Anything in general. Anything in general.
Overall, let's say 3.
What makes you a 3?
Well, it depends on the topic again, but I would say overall, when I'm driving out here, there's traffic and speeding, and then there's some things going on in family dynamics that cause you to feel a little bit angry. No, not that, but maybe some other things.
Excellent.
Okay.
That's the point of going through like angry, especially if you're coming home to a significant other or even your kids, to be able to go, I'm angry. It's not at you, it's at the traffic and the people that were cutting me off the road, so that the person that you're interacting with understands that they are not the ones responsible for our anger. So this is just a quick little check-in. It should take under 5 minutes just to go through and go, here's where I'm at. And here's what impacted me, so that we know with the people that we're talking with, it's not us, or maybe it is us. I'm angry with you because of how you talked to me today. Remember, we're not solving the conflict right now. We are just getting a temperature on where we're at and what the flow is going to be like in this interaction that we have.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
What if the person on the other side wants to have that communication with you so that they could fix it? What do you do?
That comes in conflict resolution. And my, in the 3 pillars, the way I talk about conflict resolution is time and place and never in the moment. If we are in that moment talking about that immediate reactive anger, it is not the time to try and resolve it. That comes back. We schedule those times. We say, let's come back to this and talk about it, and we'll get to that. We'll focus on the solutions and stuff when we get there. But for the purpose of the check-in, it is literally just to check in so we know. I like it when I get home with my husband, we automatically do this. I'm the one that's getting home. He's already there. So if I'm coming in hot going, man, there was a SOB I was dealing with today, I'm going to tell him that. I'm angry. I'm still angry. Not at you, at the SOB I was dealing with wherever I was dealing with them. And that way, what does he know? Give me a minute. Give me some time and space. So that's a check-in. Real easy pillar. With people who have families, like Amanda, I know you got a couple of little kids. This is a great place to start them on being aware of how they are feeling and why they are feeling that way. This helps with our emotional selves. It's the naming it part. It's being able to name what we're feeling so that we can do something about it. If we don't get to that point, if we're not checking in like with ourselves, we should be checking in with ourselves before, or at least I should, before I even open my mouth going, are you in a good condition to say anything right now? Or should you just keep your mouth? Is it right? Pillar number 1, emotional check-ins. Just check in with one another, check in with yourself. Let's move on to pillar number 2. This is actually my favorite pillar. I call it the emotional intimacy pillar or the awareness pillar. And what this looks like, again, still no conflict. We're not bringing in problems. We're not bringing in our differences into emotional intimacy. What we're doing is building intimacy into our relationships. If we don't do this pillar, conflict resolution is going to suck balls. I'm just going to say it. It's going to be bad. We're not going to do it well if we don't get the intimacy parts in. So, emotional intimacy. Some people might call this date night. Um, I like to mandate it when I'm working with couples and go, listen, this should be an active part of your life on a weekly basis where you and your partner come together to learn something new about each other, to learn something different about each other. I encourage people to get their favorite podcasts and keep it short and listen to it yourself, share it with your partner or your friends, and then come together and talk about that just to give you a subject or something to talk about. And a lot of couples need that, right? They don't know how to go deep just in a face to face. So we got to add in some new information to talk about. That could be all over the place. I have some people here who are church people. Man, it's fun to come out of a church service and go, what do you think? How do you feel about that information? Ooh, as I topple myself over, how do you feel about that information? Um, what I like to encourage is that to build that intimacy, we are looking at each other's desires and passions. So, what do you love? What do you hate? What do you want to do better at? What do you want to learn? What's something new that you want to learn? And step into those spaces and talk about those things. Make sense? How do you and Bob work on your emotional intimacy?
Well, one rule that we have is we do not discuss our children because that typically starts something that's not, you know, it can be enjoyable, but however, I think that that's a common thread that we always talk about are our kids. And we have some other things that we could actually be talking about, and we don't talk about work.
Mm.
So we have a rule that when we are building that intimacy, we just are talking about likes, interests that, like you talked about. He likes to talk to me a lot about TikTok reels. And he'll say, "Did you see this one?" And I say, "No," because we don't watch the same TikToks. So he'll show them to me, and then I'll talk to him about the things that I podcast, like you mentioned, or a book I'm listening to, or we talk about our friends and, you know, future plans. And we love to not gossip. No, no, we plan a trip and we'll start talking about the trips that we're going to go on and what that might look like.
This is a very intentional step. It's one that I like to encourage people to be purposeful with. This is the building blocks of a relationship where we are getting to know each other on a deeper level and what our hearts are all about. If we're not making space for that, we definitely should make space for that, because we're not, back to pillar number 3, we're not going to resolve our differences and our conflicts if we are not emotionally intimate. If we can't go there, if we can't talk about deeper things, or what's important to us, what I'm passionate about, or what I don't like, we are not going to do well when it comes time to resolve our conflicts. So this is very intentional. My recommendation when I'm working with couples is at least a couple hours a week, weekly. And even for those who have families and kids, we should be building our emotional intimacy on the weekly.
What would be your suggestion for people that work together?
Oh, that's a tough one. I actually have that problem. Um, People that work together, the big one is not talking about work in that intimate space. Like, that's conflict for us. So we have to take it to a time, right place. If we try to talk about work because we both approach work differently, it is not going to be intimate. Um, it's it's probably going to be a little stressful at times.
So would you recommend scheduling that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's where we go with the pillar number 3, conflict resolution. So, pillar 2, the big thing is it's very mindful. We have to be purposeful with it. Intentional. I say build it into your calendar. Make a night where the two of you can come together and spend a couple hours. Make a boundary with each other, handshake before you go to this space, that we are not going to talk about the things that are going to make us fight. We're going to talk about the things that are going to make us grow closer to one another. We want oxytocin to release. Um, so, very important. Pillar number 2. Pillar number 3 is the conflict resolution. Let me just summarize what these 3 pillars are. They are, from start to finish, how interpersonally we should be communicating, whether it's with our friends, our family members, our workplace people that we tend to spend more time with than the people in our homes, right? The 3 pillars are set up to walk us through, is my favorite thing to say about this, conflict, without getting stuck in the midst of it. Flow through communication, conflict resolution. So let's hit pillar 3. Let's hit pillar 3 is the conflict resolution pillar. This is where we come to solve problems. And this one is pretty important too. This is where we start to talk about tones, um, verbal and nonverbal tones. And the ladies in the room are probably most guilty of the nonverbal eye rolling, cross our arms over our chests kind of nonverbal tones, where maybe the guys stereotypically get louder in conflict. right? Some of us girls do that too, but in general, we are guilty of the nonverbal
Mm-hmm.
and the eye rolling and the shrinking our partners down when we're making those tony nonverbal gestures, right? So that's a big one for conflict resolution, is to check your tones. This is the pillar that is time and place. Um, it is never a good time to resolve a conflict in a reactive moment when the conflict is happening, because cortisol is releasing probably in both of our brains because we're going into battle, if you will. And that makes it harder to think. It makes it harder to understand other people when we hit that stress point. And a lot of us will shut down or attack if we're in a reactive problem state trying to solve it. So I like to suggest this is another one where you build this into your schedule. Like Sundays at 3, we're going to sit down, and if I have done or said anything to piss you off, we're going to talk about it. And we're going to go through a process that I'll talk about here in a second that will get us through the conflict and not stuck in the conflict. We're actually going to bring you a couple of real time conflicts, one between Kim and I and the business we do together and the struggles that we have. And then Amanda is going to bring one with family of origin and what her real time conflict is and share that with us. So let's talk about a process when we're talking about conflict resolution. If we don't have some kind of structure, what's going to happen? We're going to be all over the place. We're going to be push and pull and push and pull. If we don't have a starting place and some kind of structure or process to follow when we hit conflict resolution. So, where I like to ground us in conflict resolution is name the problem. That's where we start. When you are going toe to toe with somebody, pause, time out. How do you see the problem? How would you state that? Or here's how I see the problem. Are you okay with that? Can we work from there? State the problem. I'm going to take it one step further. State the problem in a sentence or two, not a paragraph with all the details of why you're ticked off and to prove your side and point. State the problem in a sentence or two so a sixth grader could understand it. Make it easy for us, right? Once we do that, we state the problem. Next, how do I feel about the problem? How do you feel about the problem? Why this is important is if I see the problem and I am hot as a hornet, ticked off, how am I going to approach my solutions? If I'm sad, how am I going to approach the solutions? It's going to be different. If I'm indifferent, if I don't feel like it's a problem, how am I going to state the solutions? We got to know how each other feels about the problem that we're naming. Um, Problem, how we feel, next step. That's where I like to encourage that we take a time out, because remember the reactive process, there's brain hormones that happen that set us off, make us numb, shut down, or overreact. So after we state the problem, after we discuss how we feel about the problem, we take a cool down, take a time out. And this could be a short 5-minute cool down. If you're me, you probably need about 24 hours to cool down. Gather your thoughts and come back with your thinking brain as opposed to angry brain. And everybody's different in there. Some of us can get there quick. Some of us can pass through that angry initial feeling quickly. Some people can't. And if we're a couple, we should be talking about that. Like, how much time do you need? Here's where I could go into a lot of attachment issues, because invariably in any relationship, we have an anxious avoidant who needs to solve the problem now, and they're anxious and they feel nauseous and their head is spinning and they need to talk about it. And then we have the avoidant who's running for the hills because they don't want to deal with that energy, right? Those things are important. That's why we do a cool down. My anxious avoidants often say to me, what am I supposed to do in a cool down when he's over there or she's over there not paying any attention to what's going on? Um, Teach yourself some coping skills, how to ground your nervous system, box breathing. There's various coping skills if you're anxious attachment. But the goal is to learn to soothe yourself in that moment before you come back to the conflict, especially if you're in a relationship with an avoidant person. So, question?
Yes. So how long is too long to wait? Somebody who's avoidant would wait a month.
Right. And I'm glad you asked that because I put a 24-hour limit on that. And I say this to the avoidance when they're in my office. I go, you have 24 hours. And because you're the one that needs the time to think, you should initiate coming back together and talking about the rest of the problem when you have your solutions ready. Okay. So no more than 24 hours. Otherwise, there's going to be bitterness and resentments cropping up for the anxious attachment. So that is huge. When we take that cool down, figure out how much time that person needs for sure. Okay, so in that cool down, let's talk about what we do when we're in that cool down space. This is something also anxious attachment and avoidant attachment can do in their cool down. And that is get out of your problem head. It is a problem. Everybody knows it's a problem. Your partner knows it's a problem. Stop talking about the problem and approach each other when we come back together with solutions within our control. Everybody wants to be, if you've ever been a manager, everybody wants to be approached with solutions. It's super hard when somebody comes with a problem and doesn't offer up any ideas of how to fix the problems. So when we are in our cool down, take some time, write out the solutions. Ideally, there's more than one solution, and these can be wacky. Like, think of any solution you can think of. Write down as many solutions as you can. But the big deal is write down the solutions that are within your control without asking somebody else to do it for me. That's huge because a lot of times when we go to solutions, we want to go, well, if you would talk to me differently, that's just going to set off another defensive reaction that is not going to help our conflict resolution. So I really like to encourage people to go into that cool down, thinking of solutions. I encourage us to write them down almost like journaling style so that we can go back to them and look at them. Write them down. When you have a couple, that's when you go back. And if you're the anxious attachment, you can say, hey, I've got a couple solutions when you're ready. Let me know when you've got a couple solutions and we can come back together and chat. And then when we do come back together, that's the goal, not to beat the problem to death. We know it's a problem. The goal is to talk about the solutions. Keep in mind, if we are all looking at the same problem, our solutions are likely going to come together at some point. Not always, but most at 99% of the time, they come together if we will start at the same place and name the conflict before we start tit for tatting it. Um, get our solutions talked about. So when we come back together after the cool down, what are the solutions you came up with? Here are my solutions. Hey, look, we have one that's so close. Do you want to start there? Let's start there. Let's practice our compromise and start here. It doesn't mean it's set in stone. It doesn't mean it's the way it is, but it gives us a good starting point to go practice. Is this a good solution? We don't stop there. We come back together a week or a month, however long it takes. We come back together and we ask each other, how'd that work for you? Like, is it working? Because it didn't work for me at all. It set off this, this, and this, and I'm going to need to revise it or do something completely different because it didn't work. That exchange is better than if you don't come back and talk about it. And I'm in that space going, this sucks. This is not a good solution. I'm off doing my own thing again. And then what's my partner thinking? That he's being disrespected because I didn't do the solution the way I said I would. We have to come back and talk about these solutions and make sure that it's working for everybody. This is why I like writing them down, by the way, because if you're in a situation where one of you is like, this solution sucks, it's not going to work for this situation, then go back to the original paper and look, is there anything there that we can bounce off of to get some solutions? This is compromise time. We're talking about solutions. We're on the same team, right? I know, but we got to remember we're in the relationships we're in because we want to be team players, right? We want to be on the same team. We don't want to act like enemies in conflict. That makes things significantly more difficult. So come back, talk about your solutions, agree on a solution, and then set a date and time where you're going to revisit the solution to ensure that it is a good solution. That's the final step of conflict resolution. Kim and I actually have a conflict that we're going to talk about today because we work together, and I'm going to let you start it. What's our conflict?
We love each other.
We do. We do.
So we can love one another and still have conflict,
Yes.
right? That's healthy.
Yes.
So I'll give you an example of a conflict. Shannon has the most brilliant brain. She truly does. I am a very detailed, uh, I don't know, what would you call it? I'm very detail orientated. So I need things to be ABC. I'm just type A.
And I like to complain about that because I'm big idea and I don't give a shit about the details.
So, and okay, so I'm a past educator, and that's how we did our lesson plans. Very detailed, right? So that's how my brain thinks. So when Shannon and I are getting ready to um, create a new program, she throws something out to me and she thinks I understand what she's saying. And I'll say, can you clarify that? Nope. No, you just have to think in like I do. Teach me how to think like you do, please. She says you just got to figure it out.
Just do what you
Just do
want.
it. You take it and run with it. No, I love that. However, if I could get in her brain, that might help me just a little bit. So
Mhm.
that is one conflict. Is I would say to her, so here's the problem. So
Yeah,
let's do
yeah,
the
yeah.
three pillars. The
Excellent.
problem is Shannon had an amazing idea. The idea still stands. We're going to create an emotional mapping program, which is a brilliant program.
Hmm.
And what I'd like you to
Love
do
it.
is I would like you to write a workshop for this program. Okay, I could do that, but I need a little bit more details on how to write that program. So give me a little bit more content that I can use for that program. There we go.
That's the
It's crickets.
right. It's crickets because again, that's the details, right? And I do actually, I'll be vulnerable and honest with people. I do have a spatial dyslexia that prohibits me from clearly seeing details, which is why I tend to work with people who do see details. I am a big idea person, and if I could skip the details and get there quick, that would be my preference, right? So I am sympathetic. I get equally annoyed with the detail oriented as they get with me because I'm like, are you kidding me? Why can't you just right? So here's differences in temperaments and personalities in the workspace. And fortunately, we do love each other and we do work these things out. We have these discussions and we do great. We do great together. So my solution has been, at least with Kim, I'm not this great at it in my house, but at least with Kim, I slow myself down and go, okay, what steps do I need to talk to you about? Like, where are we at? That invariably, that is my question to her when we get on our business calls is, okay, where are we at and what are we talking about? Because you got all the details. What do you need to know?
And she does a very good job of giving me that time. So I would use that as a suggestion when you're dealing with another relationship is you want to give that other person the opportunity um, to hold space for them, right? Have that time to listen
Mhm.
because we don't all think the same.
Mm-mm.
And you want to validate how the other person is feeling and what they're thinking. And she does do an amazing job. She would like to skip from point A to Z really quickly. However, how do we create that autonomy between the two?
Mhm. Yeah, this is what I lovingly call my neurodivergence. Um, I can get this big idea and we all love it, but I can't tell us how to get there. So that's where I tap into my melancholy people and go, tell me what details I need to look at. And I'm probably going to be a little pissed off that I have to look at them, but just tell me what it is and I'll go look at them for us and figure it out. But that is difficult for me. And so my solution has been to slow my roll with a business partner because we both want the best for the business, right? We have to address the details. I understand that. So I work really hard and I'm not perfect at it. And I know I still give you a head full and have those expectations behind them of just do whatever you want. Like I trust you.
Yeah. Well, there's that. Because then the person like myself, who may, some of you might be like this, where you're a perfectionist and you want it to work to her expectation. How do you meet somebody else's expectations? And if you're a people pleaser, you want to make them happy, right? So you do end up dropping them, and you would end up being a little bit harder on yourself. But with that open line of communication, you can hopefully bridge.
But we definitely in business together, we do have to talk about these things. If we weren't talking about these things, what would I be doing? Going to try to find somebody else to work with me on this and start all over in this process, going, I have a little gap and here's how you can help me and revisiting all those things. Yeah, I'm super glad that we can talk through it and figure our business debacles out together. So that's our example. We have a couple of good solutions going to help one another. Kim knows with the details. If she's coming for details, time and place, right? She's not going to text me when I'm on my way to work or call me when I'm getting off of work and I'm exhausted. She's going to probably wait until our Monday morning business meeting. So we've discussed some solutions for this and we are both good about putting those solutions into play.
And those that comes with a boundary, right? So you learn those healthy boundaries
We do.
in any relationship. So you use those as well.
Well, and that's a good point because we are in business together. So we do have some good work boundaries. Like we don't text each other before 8 o'clock. We don't text each other after 8 o'clock. Those types of things that we have built into our business together. So that's kind of just a fun little workplace conflict. Amanda McCoy is going to bring us an interpersonal conflict that's going to talk about relationship as a mom, wife, all the things. And she's going to bring us a real time conflict. She's going to share with us. Welcome, Amanda McCoy, my favorite pharmacist.
Usually I'm the one miking up people, so that was fun. You're talking about different personalities and detail versus all the things that I'm over here going, mic down, mic down, mic down. I want to see your pretty face, mic down. Okay. That's just me being a control freak over here. I want to see your pretty face. So I've got some real life scenarios. I wanted to kind of, first of all, my name's Amanda McCoy. I'm a pharmacist and I'm the chair of a Women's Health Initiative for Inside Out for Everyone, which is part of the Changing Lives ecosystem for healthcare. And yeah, so a lot of my examples come from being a mom, being a wife, but also from the workplace as well. I feel like I want to try and give some scenarios that will be applicable kind of in any scenario, really. So I'm going to balance it with home and work, and you can kind of ad lib that to yourself. So, firstly, home example, you go for a girls' trip, you go back to see your family, you go off with your buddies, you come home, and the house looks like a war zone. And you're like, wow, if I'm not here to do all these things, clearly no one's doing them. And you approach your partner about it and say, why is the house, why does it look like there's someone lost a war here? Oh, well, you didn't leave me a list. Has anyone seen this person on the internet? She has a whole thing about, I don't want to make a list, because that's the solution that we're given a lot of the times is make a list. Well, then you're not just doing your job, you're managing someone else. And this also goes for the workplace. Let's say you go on vacation for a week and you come back and your coworker has left everything for you to do, or like didn't do half of their own work. And they're like, oh, you didn't tell me what needed to be done. Not only are you managing your own workload, now you're managing them. And maybe as a manager, that's kind of your job, but they kind of need to know how to be a little bit autonomous as well. So learning how to do that, learning how to verbalize it. But what do we do most of the time? I'll just do it myself. It's easier. It's easier than the conflict. I'm going to avoid the conflict. I don't want to shake things up. I don't want to say anything because then I'll be the bad guy. It's just so much more work to say something than to actually just do it myself. But what does that do? Yeah, that's great. But that's not sustainable. To be honest, that's not sustainable. So the whole problem, we tell ourselves this, that we'll just do it ourselves until you're tired, you're irritated, you're burned out, you're questioning your life choices. And this might be, I took this job. It might be, I married this person. It might be any of those things, but you start to question yourself. Yeah. I love my kids, but sometimes you're like, oh, no, is this the right life choice? Things like that. This is reality. Everyone thinks about these things, but no one talks about it. And I want to come back to, this is not a cleaning problem. This is not a delegation problem. This is not a productivity at work problem. This is an ownership problem. Who owns which parts of things that need to be done in the workplace, at home, in the relationship, whether that be a friendship or, an intimate relationship? Ownership. And we're going to come back to that. So we're going to start with this how do we get from here to there? Starting with unprocessed emotions, reactive communication. So where somebody brings something to you and you lash back out. That's me. Or not doing anything at all, just hiding and kind of taking it and just doing it all yourself and avoiding conflict. And then both of those lead to resentment. And that's not a space that you want to be in. So instead of reacting or non-reacting and just doing nothing and like building that resentment, we want to use the pillars that Shannon and Kim talked about to get to somewhere on the next line: clarity, grounded communication, and then shared responsibility. That might be shared responsibility of duties in a household, or might be shared responsibilities as communication in a friendship or at work. This can apply to pretty much anything, really. So, pillar one is the self awareness and emotional clarity. Self awareness and emotional clarity. The check in. The check in. This is what you say to yourself, not necessarily what you say to the other person. Could be something you say to them, but this is more to yourself. And sometimes I actually say these things out loud to myself, especially when I'm in the car, because I don't know why that seems to be the place where you, or the shower, where no one's around and you don't have your phone in front of you. You're not distracted by a million things and your emotions kind of hit you and you say, I feel overwhelmed. I feel frustrated. I feel taken advantage of. I feel like I'm carrying everything. Pillar two, I connect. So this is a connection and the safety. This is where you actually verbalize what you're saying to someone. And I would caveat that with, don't send an email, don't send a text, because although it might sound nice and it sounds good in your head, you're going to lose the nonverbal and like the verbal cues that come from tone of voice and volume and all of that. There's so much that comes outside of just written text. So this can apply to both a relationship and a friendship and a coworker. Coworkership? Is that a word? I feel overwhelmed. I miss feeling like part of a team. I feel like that one is very effective when it comes to a relationship, like an intimate relationship. I feel like I miss being part of a team. It reframes that, like, we used to be in this together. It used to be like us against the world. And now I just feel like it's me. I want us to feel like we're supporting each other, not just cleaning up after each other. Like, I'm able to both, right? Especially if you're that person that's coming back. Let's say you are off every Thursday and you work every Friday. You have a coworker who leaves a bunch of work for you, but you always clean up and make sure everything is nice and neat for them. But then when you come back, it's always a disaster. Like, I want us to feel like we're supporting each other, not just cleaning up after one another. And then once again, I want us to feel like a team again. Pillar three, conflict structure. So stop asking for help. And I'm going to use that in quotes because we use the word help so much that when you stop using that as far as uh, duties in a relationship or like responsibilities in a relationship, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. This is separate from the concept of asking for help mental health wise. That's different. This is more of like, if you say, help me with the dishes, help me with these tasks that we have in the queue at work. Can you help me with this project? You are framing it as it is your responsibility and they are helping you rather than framing it as the ownership is together and that you're working as a team. So it really comes down to defining ownership. Who do these things belong to? So language shift. So here's some examples. This is for the home. Old language being, and this is one that my brother will tell you, I am very, very big on. The old language, help mommy clean up. Help mommy do this. Help mommy pick up your toys. Help mommy get ready for bed. What it actually says is it's mommy's responsibility to do all these things. And you're just assisting her. It takes a responsibility away from the partner in the relationship or the child. I mean, we need to teach them to be functional human beings, right? And you're teaching them, oh, they're helping they're helping their mother do everything. Reframe. Language doesn't just communicate, it assigns responsibility. So language is very important. The way that you phrase things, very important. It assigns responsibility as well as just communicating. So here's a good language shift. This is the old one for work. Old one is, I'll just handle it. Don't mind my typo there. I'll just clean it up. I'll just do it myself. I don't want to bother them. What it actually says is, this is on me, and my coworker is just, again, kind of helping me out. It also makes you feel guilty that you're not getting that work done because you're thinking, oh, I should be able to handle all of this. Even though you clearly know that they're slacking, let's be honest. But you're like, I should be able to handle it. I should be able to handle it. And then it puts the guilt on yourself, puts the pressure on yourself as well to do all of these things. So here's some new language. We all clean up our house. Everyone is responsible. Mommy and daddy help you learn how to do this. I like that one. And then my brother will tell you, I'd be like, mommy will help you pick up your books. It's not help mommy pick up your books. Nope. What it says is, congratulations, you live here. Welcome to the team. These are your responsibilities as a human being in this house. And granted, a 3-year-old, you gotta adjust for age. You gotta adjust for ability. Come on. But you have to teach them, like I said, to be functional human beings in this society and not burn out in the process. So here's some new language for work. Let's clarify ownership by end of day. Sounds very corporate, but some people need that. Some people like it. Let's follow up, touch base, circle back. All of those words, if they react to that, fine. But you can say that, let's follow up later and touch base about what what our end goals are at the end of the day on Friday or whatever. Put a time on it. What is expected before Friday? So that's a good timeline. Let's say that like I said, you're off on Thursdays and you come in, you're the only person on Friday. What's expected before Friday? What should I expect to come into on Friday? What's the expected workload that I should be doing? What expected workload what's okay for me to leave for you for Thursday, et cetera, et cetera. Just be very clear. What it says is everyone owns it. No one is stuck carrying more of the workload. Overall, the goal is not doing more, because I'm sure a lot of us are guilty of just doing more and more and more, not asking for help, just doing more and more and more. But like I said, that's not sustainable. So the goal is not to do more. The goal is not to do it alone and have expectations of who's doing what, because that will really help your mental health and also help you, hopefully, not dread coming into work on Mondays. Because a lot of us have that. The word help, we talked a lot about the importance of terminology or like the verbiage of things. Help makes you a manager. So you're managing other people, not just doing your own work. You're managing other people. Like going back to make a list. Like people say, oh, just make a list and tell me what it is that you need me to do. That's like at a home one, pretty common. Or, oh, just loop me in on the email. Just loop me in from a coworker. Well, they're helping, like I said, but that doesn't make them owners. And it just makes it so that you are managing more people, managing more tasks. And no. It's important to remember this last quote here. You are not overwhelmed because you can't handle it. You're overwhelmed because you've been handling too much for too long without the shared ownership and clear guidelines on that. That's about it. Awesome.
We can do a QA. Okay. We will make ourselves useful and stand up here and answer any questions y'all may have. Who? Any questions? Any questions? Okay. Well, thank y'all for joining us today. I appreciate it. Hopefully, we made it quick and painless and gave you some new things to think about when it comes to communication and conflict resolution. It's a real thing. I love to say, as a counselor, I cannot take the problems away from you. I can only show you how to move through them. That's the best I can do. So I hope you guys got something good out of conflict resolution today. I can send you the PowerPoint if anybody wants it. Just let me know and I will shoot it to you. And we hope you will come back and join us on our other topics. Thank you.